Welcome to CreatureCon Live Daily News. For those of you that don't know, my name is Ethan. We are streaming on both Rumble, YouTube, and Kick. And today we are going over a new Elasmosaur or Plesiosaur discovery, as well as an occurrence going on with wolves over in Yellowstone National Park. And certain ice age animals have been found in Texas, and as well a certain deer occurrence over in the Philippines. So, from texas.edu or the University of Texas at Austin, new Ice Age animals and slice of Earth history found in Central Texas water cave. Paleontologist from the University of Texas at Austin has discovered the fossilized remains of Ice Age animals that have never been found in Central Texas before. And he came across the bones while snorkeling for fossils in an underground stream. Well, this sounds relatively captivating considering there have been a wide range of different species of Pleistocene epoch or Ice Age animals have been found in Texas, not necessarily animals such as certain cave hyenas or woolly mammoths, considering it was too far south for these animals and simply too drastic of a climate. But a wide range of different species, such as Columbian mammoths, different species of ground sloths, certain saber-toothed cats, and even certain species of ancient bison. So I really wonder what they discovered. The new fossils are from a giant tortoise and an armadillo relative called a pimpathere that was about the size of a lion. So for the time, this was like a medium-sized species of glyptodont, or you could say extent lineage of armadillo. But we're still pushing some around 5 to 600 pounds, or
Were you
some,
saying trying to say extinct?
uh,
The armadillo.
maybe if I made it out like they still exist today. But somewhere around 250 to 300 kilograms. Paleontologist John Moretti discovered their shell and armor fragments, along with dozens of other fossils, while conducting the first paleontological study of a Texas water cave. Whoa, well, that's relatively interesting. I really wonder how the animals ended up perishing in this place. Were they looking for water and then they just um, got trapped and perished? Water caves are conduits for underground streams. They are important passageways for groundwater in central Texas and have been anecdotally described by cavers as rich in fossils. Moretti said the cave he investigated lived up to that reputation. There were fossils everywhere, just everywhere, in a way that I haven't seen in any other cave, said Moretti, who recently earned his doctoral degree from the UT Jackson School of Geosciences. It was just bones all over the floor. The cave he explored, called Bender's Cave, is located on private property in Como County. The bones entered the cave through sinkholes during erosion and flooding events that happened thousands of years ago and have remained there ever since. I wonder exactly how long ago back in the Ice Age. Moretti said that there is evidence that the water cave fossils could be from the last interglacial, a warm period that occurred around 100,000 years ago during the last Ice Age. Despite extensive paleontology research in the area, dating back almost a century, fossils from this period have not been found before in central Texas. Fossils may be in a specific area in central Texas because I believe there have been certain Pleistocene or Ice Age fossils that have been discovered in different areas, like I believe in the hill country of Texas, so adjacent to San Antonio, parts of Austin. Um, Now, maybe what's referencing is specifically this part, like these last stages of the Pleistocene epoch, considering it's continued for over 2.4 million years. So that could be the case. And it's just talking about specific glacial events. That could be correct. Bit shocking, though. This site is showing us something different, and that's really important because all the work that's been done in this region. If it is interglacial in age, it's a new window into the past and into a landscape. Okay, so they are referring to that small segment of the Pleistocene. Environment and animal community that we haven't observed in this part of Texas before. Research on the water cave fossils was published in March in the journal Quaternary Research, which basically refers to a bit smaller of a piece of time during the Pleistocene. In fact, I think it includes us as well when it comes to the Quaternary period. So for the last 1.822 million years. Um, let's see. Here, I'll read this last. Moretti and co-author John Young, a local caver, made 6 trips into the cave from March 2023 to November 2024, collecting fossils from 21 different zones. I'm guessing they're referring to these large sections of the cave. I mean, there could be caves that last for miles. It's always possible. Although water levels in the cave can vary drastically depending on rainfall, the stream depth during their sampling trips was usually only a few feet deep, or maybe around 1 to 2 meters. 6 feet, 6.6 feet might be a lot. Finding fossils entailed crawling along the stream bed with goggles and a snorkel. Collecting them was as simple as plucking them from the bottom of the stream bed. No excavation from rock required. Other notable finds include a claw from a giant ground sloth and bones from saber-toothed cats, camels, and mastodons. Whoa, okay, so we have a whole ecosystem going on here.
Somebody eating in there?
Yeah, probably not for long though. Let's bring up um the Palamodon. Palamylodon. So did a sloth pop up? So, um, what we're going to bring up is a medium-sized species of ground sloth. Now, compared to certain species, it might be a bit small, but definitely dwarfs the largest species of today, which only reach about 15 to 20 pounds or a little over 8 kilograms. So, Palomylodon has been discovered in Texas, as well as some other corresponding states, and it thrived throughout different times during the Pleistocene epoch, especially the late Pleistocene, well over 200,000 years ago, and was an herbivore. So, likely feeding on different species of trees in the region, maybe even different species of shrubs, seems to be more of a leaf eater and not really much of a grazer looking at the dental structure. Whoa, what's going on here? Somebody was not happy. Um, I guess defending her young. And this, I don't think it's a Colombian mammoth. It seems to be some sort of a gomphothere.
Is it double tusked?
Yes. The Gomphotheres are known for being the four tuskers, which are very close relatives of the mastodons, more so than they are related to the mammoths. Also, when it comes to Texas, like even today, it was quite mild in temperature, and you could say it would become quite warm. Probably not to the same extent, but that is why, in some instances, there have been depictions of ground sloths not having a very dense coat of fur, or if they did have fur, like today's, um, well, the dense layer, like today's black bears over in Texas, it would probably have been quite a thin layer of fur. Now, also, when it came to the different species of vegetation that the sloths and even the comphotheres or the mastodons in this area, what they were feeding on was likely much more nutritious than what sloths are feeding on over in different parts of South America. I can't say. I would assume that they would also be more nutritious compared to what nearly every species of elephant is eating today over in different parts of Africa as well as southern Asia, considering they do not reach the sizes usually compared to different species of mastodons, mammoths, gomphotheres in many instances. Like very rarely do individuals reach over 7.5 tons. But it's likely that there would have been certain violent altercations when it came to um, sloths and the giant elephants or proboscideans interacting with each other, especially if one felt threatened. It's also very likely, considering they would have had much more nutritious food sources, that their reflexes, unlike today's ground sloths, as well as their just overall muscle fibers, would have been much. Um, try not to use the word like powerful, but sloths today have a very slow. reflex mechanism when it comes to defending themselves. They still can to an extent. They're not necessarily harmless. They're also very good at swimming. It's also very possible that the large ground sloths were good at swimming as well, but probably not being as buoyant. And it's very likely they would have retreated to different ponds and lakes to basically cool off, considering they lived in many cases in quite warm environments. But they were very capable of defending themselves. So even different species of bears, saber-toothed cats, canids in the region would likely, in many cases, not really hunt after the sloths unless it was a young individual. Paramylodon could reach well over 800 pounds or a little over 350 kilograms. So, this animal would have been a formidable adversary, even up against predators nearly the size of itself. And even taking on like a pride of saber-toothed cats would have been quite difficult for the saber-toothed cats to take down this sloth. Would they have lived in herds? It's a bit of a debate. Usually, they're depicted as being solitary animals. The question is he just in a muddy area or is he supposed to be in the tar pits?
Thought he was just giving him a ride.
Yeah, it's quite a harmful ride. Also, this is I mean, I like the picture overall, but it's depicting the sloth, I think, at least in my opinion, as being too slow or not really alert to what's around it. However, saber-toothed cats, like most species of cats today, are or would have been ambush predators. So, sneaking up on their prey from a very close distance and likely pouncing, especially on larger species. Now, it seems to be that they're depicting this Smilodon, if that's a full-grown individual, went after something like a younger Aramatherium. It's possible for that to have occurred, but that is very risky for a Smilodon. A Aramatherium could easily kill this cat. I mean, Smilodon fatalis still weighs somewhere between 5 to 600 pounds, or right around 250 to 280 kilograms. But we're talking about a sloth that could weigh more than 5 tons. So it's a bit of an unrealistic scenario, in my opinion. I think the Smilodon is much smarter than that. Um, okay, well, let's head back to the article. So all the fossils are polished, rounded, and have a similar degree of rusty red mineralization, which suggests that they were swept into the cave at about the same time. However, the lack of geologic material that makes sampling easy makes it difficult to determine the age of the bones through carbon dating or other precise dating means. Wow, that is a very typical sloth um, claw, and I say that in a complimentary way. I mean, this is really well preserved. I just mean that that's what it looks like. Wow. Very rugged too. So this is a fossil claw from the giant ground sloth Megalonyx found in a Texas water cave. Let's see, 2 centimeters. So it's a few inches across at least, but it's very wide in diameter. Moretti said that there are other signs that suggest that the fossils could be from an interglacial period. Given the history of paleontology in central Texas, one would expect these animals to already have been found if they were living at the same time as other younger fossils that have been discovered in the area. Another clue is a matter of habitat and temperature. The ground sloth and mastodon were forest dwellers, and the giant tortoise and pamphothere needed warm temperatures to thrive. Oh, let's bring them up. Let's just look up a glyptodont. Many different species. Glyptodont. Howard, the pamphotheres, I believe, were of a different lineage of giant armadillos, not necessarily to the size of the glyptodont.
Glyptodont or glyptodon?
Um, Glyptodont. It'll give us more variety. Glyptodon just refers to a specific genus. Glyptodont refers to a large family of the giant armadillos.
Uh,
Okay, so this is okay. I think it's just referring to Glyptodon itself. that could be found across a wide range of different areas of the southern United States, as well as down into Mexico and even parts of Central and South America. There were different species.
I like this one.
Yeah, this is a good representation. I think they even, yeah, they gave him a bit of fur. So, like today's armadillos, they did have fur as well, just not a very dense layer. And they had a very robust ankylosaur like protective layer of armor around the core of their body and to an extent even their head structure, which is very interesting. This is some almost convergent evolution when it comes to mutation or mutations that you see with today's and prehistoric armadillos, as well as the armored dinosaurs of the late Jurassic and the Cretaceous eras, such as the ankylosaurs and the nodosaurs. But this probably correlates with the well, it can depend on the species. You could say animals like the Dicurus down in South America, different parts of Paraguay, Brazil, would probably have been linked alongside the ankylosaur's armor more because they've been found with the spiked club-like tail to an extent, similar to ankylosaurs. Other glyptodon species tend to have more of like a basal sort of armored tail, but didn't necessarily end in distinct club-like structure.
Okay,
More of a nodosaur.
what's with this guy's face?
Um, they just massively enlarged his nostrils and gave him like a pig-like appearance. They are not closely related to pigs. It seems to be just a smaller glyptodont. I think it's trying to represent this individual being a burrower, which is certainly possible.
Okay, here's two naked people.
They definitely add a lot more fluff. Yeah, this is a much older painting, from way back. I don't remember exactly who. I don't know, Heinrich Harder. Hmm. I think it's just supposed to represent probably the end of the Pleistocene, and these are some North American or South American Indians. But glyptodonts, the largest ones, could reach somewhere between actually, I'd say 4 to 5,000 pounds, possibly even larger, or somewhere around 2 to 3 tons. And there are a wide range of different species. There were also somewhere around the 4 to 800 pound realm, or linking somewhere between 180 kilograms to pushing somewhere around 370 to 380 kilograms.
Okay, this isn't gonna be a big picture, so I'm
And
gonna try to blow it up.
and they were herbivorous as well, probably feeding on different roots and tubers. This is from a documentary that could have or should have added much more um, animation, or at least just animal activity in the show. I think it was called Giants of the Ice Age. It had like just small glimpses of Columbian mammoths, like a cave bear and a Eurasian cave lion, and this little thing with 2 glyptodonts, supposedly, like, 1 or 2 of them drowned. They've been discovered over in Florida with their core or their bodies upside down for some reason during fossilization.
What's with this guy's face?
Yeah,
Let me blow him up.
it's almost got, like, a raccoon or badger
That's
sort
what
of
I
a
was
look to
thinking.
him.
I was like, "No, it's just me," and
Glyptodons have also, more recent years, have been um, reconstructed with having an almost tapir sort of nasal structure, or having basically a small trunk. They were likely feeding on different species of aquatic plants, possibly even grazed to a smaller extent. They do have slightly more smoother teeth, or much smoother teeth compared to, like, for say, the American mastodon proboscideans that they coexisted with. But yeah, this guy looks like he's a mutant. He has a very, heightened, um, back as well. Glyptodons in general did have very heightened backs, but I think it's a little exaggerated on this guy. Oh, yeah, that's what's weird with most of them. They don't have that, little trunk, but these are also older depictions, except this guy. Unless certain species recently have been found not to have, certain small trunks, which is always possible.
hold on, I found something. Here it is. It's not big, though.
Also, you have it where it wasn't just the saber-toothed cat, such as Smilodon fatalis, existed in the region, but earlier in time, Smilodon gracilis, which is the ancestor to Smilodon fatalis and the South American species Smilodon populator.
Okay, I'm blurring it a little. Look at his tail.
Oh, yeah. Um, I believe there have been certain glyptodont tails that have been discovered in this type of preservation.
I'm pretty sure that's real. Look, it's got a hole in it.
Yeah, that's really well defined. Yeah, they also coexisted with the Megalonyx, which is also known as the Jefferson's ground sloth or Megalonyx jeffersoni. Let's see, which is around the same size, pushing around 800 pounds or a little over 380 kilograms. Also an herbivore. So let's see. Where were we? Another clue is the matter of habitat and temperature. The ground sloth and mastodon were forest dwellers, and the giant tortoise and pamphithere needed warm temperatures to thrive. Well, they were also likely shrub and grass eaters. The warmer interglacial periods may have had both these things. In contrast, during the cool glacial interval, central Texas was a sprawling grassland. There's also, you could say, it was also a bit of a savanna to some extent, much different than the savannas that you see in certain areas of South America, but it might be a bit more similar, as well as very drastic from the savannas that you see over in sub-Saharan Africa, or like the Serengeti or different parts of South Africa, especially in the northeastern areas.
You saying a drastic difference?
It's not. It would be first of all much more mild when it came to temperature, and also much more nutrient dense vegetation for the larger herbivores, and they wouldn't have had the acacia trees like that iconic tree that you see over in the plains of Africa. There's also the fact that the Bender's cave fossils have a lot in common with fossil sites in the Dallas area and Gulf Coast that are known to date back to the last interglacial period. Fossils from the giant tortoise, pamphithere, and ground sloth have been found in these areas. When Moretti conducted a statistical analysis that grouped Ice Age sites in Texas based on the similarity of their fossils, Bender's Cave was grouped with these interglacial sites rather than sites in central Texas. So is Bender's Cave not in central Texas? I'm confused. I don't know where it is specifically. David Ledesma, an assistant professor at St. Edward's University, who studies how lizards, frogs, and other small animals responded to environmental changes during the past ice age, said that the research shows that even in an area as well documented as Central Texas, there are new things to find. Some of the fossils that John has come across are species that we didn't think would occur in this part of Texas, said Ledesma, who was not part of the study. That's wh- that we're still learning new things and finding new things is quite exciting. While it takes paleontological expertise to do this research, Moretti said that it's important to note that most caves are on private property. Refining the picture of prehistoric Texas requires landowners and scientists to work together to explore the past. These connections and partnerships make possible a lot of the natural science that gets done in Texas.
On private property,
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah, but I was
just
just wondering.
northeast of San Antonio.
East. I guess what it's referring to is it's not in a specific ecoregion, which is very possible. Maybe it's just outside of it. So it takes contributions from everyone, not just scientists at universities, to learn about the natural world we live in and depend on. Well, it was unfortunate that at least we only saw a claw, but it seems to be that there were a wide variety of other bones in the area. They did mention that there were camels. There have been around 5 different species of prehistoric camel that have been found in Texas as well, ranging from slightly larger than today's llamas, like the paleo llama, and even larger species like camelops and titanolopus.
Wait, we're already doing this, so
Oh, it's Is this the same thing? It's mentioning the Bender's Cave, Edwards Plateau. Roughly 100,000 years ago. I think they said that on the other one as well. It's also using the same picture.
No, wait, is he in it?
Yeah, yeah, he was in the picture as well. Might be the same thing. John Moretti. Yeah, it sounds like it. Como County. The bones entered the cave through sinkholes during erosion and flooding events that happened thousands of years ago and have remained there ever since. Oh, so it doesn't sound like that. Oh, well, did they fall through a sinkhole and that's how they got there? Yeah, but it sounds like the same thing. Okay. Well, um it's even mentioning the goggles, snorkels collected from 21 different zones. Yeah. Let's head over to the next article. Let's head forward in time. From discoverymagazine.com. Whoa. Hold on a second. There we go. Yellowstone wolf pup numbers fall to a new low since reintroduction, with a possible link to canine distemper. Oh, what? Well, I guess to a certain extent, I guess I'm not too surprised, but still a bit nuts. You have certain tourists, I would think, going into the area and their dogs have an issue. So learn. Let's keep going. Oh, here's a seems like a healthy wolf.
Staring at a bird?
Yeah, staring at a. I think it's a raven. Since the reintroduction of gray wolves in Wyoming, both inside and outside of Yellowstone National Park, about 30 years ago, this species has faced one battle after another, including public opposition, trapping, and poaching. But disease has also played a role in some of the struggles wolves have faced in these areas. Per the Per the Wyoming Game and Fish's 2025 wolf monitoring report, canine distemper significantly affected wolf pups in the park, leading to low reproduction and a population decline to its lowest level since the wolves were reintroduced. Sheesh. That is irritating to hear. This isn't the first time these wolves have faced this disease, and it likely won't be the last. Here's how it will likely impact them. Yeah, I would assume negatively. Canine distemper can be very unpredictable. Even though outbreaks can follow multi year cycles, the disease can sometimes appear irregular or at random. For wolves, when population numbers begin to grow, outbreaks can become more common. In 2025, wolf researchers went out into the field to capture and test wolves for canine distemper. The team predicted, based on computer models, that the infection rate would be about 28%. Whoa, that's a lot. However, according to the report, 64.3% of the captured wolves tested positive for distemper, much higher than researchers had predicted based on historical patterns. That just s- um, s- skyrocketed through the population. That is insane. Of the wolves surveyed, many came from outside of Yellowstone National Park, particularly in the Wolf Trophy Game Management Area. I have not even heard of that place. That sounds new. This area had a population of almost 200 wolves in 2023, which could have increased opportunities for disease transmission. According to the report, the virus had its greatest impact on wolf pups. Of the at least 87 wolf pups born in 2025, only 31 to 34 survived, a survival rate of about 37%. That is extremely low. Wow, I guess the disease had that big of an impact and maybe also less success in taking down different elk and bison herds. Some of the wolf packs affected had no surviving pups. The wolf trophy yeah, game management area saw roughly 19% population decline in 2025. It's interesting because usually in recent times, I've been really associating wolf de- um, decreased numbers really just being due to conflict within different wolf packs. Well, not within like one specific wolf pack, but separate wolf packs coming into contact with each other and fighting over territory. This is seems to be not the case, at least for the most part. Likely is occurring. Canine distemper is a contagious disease caused by a virus, according to the American Veterinary Medical Association. The virus typically attacks the canine's gastrointestinal, respiratory, and nervous systems. And while canines of all ages can contract it, puppies are at higher risk. Yeah, that makes sense. They have weaker immune systems at that point. Because the virus can affect multiple body systems, the symptoms can vary widely. Gastrointestinal and respiratory symptoms include discharge from the nose and eyes, coughing, fever, loss of appetite, and vomiting. Nervous symptoms include muscle twitches, coordination loss, jaw chewing and drooling, head tilting, walking in circles, and seizures. Yeah, the virus can be spread from animal to animal through airborne particles from sneezing, barking, or coughing. It can also be spread through shared water and food sources. Besides dogs, other mammals such as ferrets, foxes, skunks, raccoons, and wolves can contract this virus. I think lions can as well over in India and I think certain parts of sub-Saharan Africa. Though the Wolf Trophy game management area surrounds and extends beyond Yellowstone National Park, there is little to no direct evidence that the park's wolf population contracted distemper. However, there is indirect evidence. Of the 36 wolf pups born in the park, only 17 survived. Jeez, a survival rate of only 47%. That is not good. This is the lowest pup recruitment since 1996, right after wolves were reintroduced to the park. These patterns suggest disease, possibly distemper, may have played a role, but more evidence is still needed to confirm. Gosh. Per the report, there are at least 84 wolves still living in Yellowstone among 7 packs. That is uh just low. With 3 breeding pairs, while there are at least 132 wolves still living in the Wolf Trophy Federal Management Area, with about 22 packs and 10 breeding pairs. Ideally, though, for the WTFMA, management would like to see that population number around 160 individuals. For now, officials with the park and the Wyoming Game and Fish Department will continue to monitor the situation and set up management plans to keep wolf populations in Wyoming healthy. Wolf populations generally rebound quickly after population decline. Ken Mills, a wolf management specialist with the Wyoming Game and Fish Department, told Discover. That depends on a wide variety of variables going on when it comes to temperature, how drastic the seasons are in general, how the herds of different animals that they're feeding on are doing, as well as like this is including the pronghorn, the mule deer in the area. Um, uh, Beavers to a certain extent, but beavers seem to be more important for wolves over in Minnesota or states like Minnesota or areas. So as well as the other diseases in this case and territory conflict when it comes to other wolf packs, you could even throw carnivores like grizzly bears into this or the other carnivores in general if they're taking out pups too. This has consistently been the case for similar disease outbreaks in Yellowstone National Park. Based on their research, we anticipate implementing a more conservative wolf hunting mortality limit in 2026 because of the population decline. But we expect the population to still be at or near our population objective at the end of 2026. Okay, wow. That's quite some news coming from there. Well, let's head back in time to guessing some point in the Mesozoic era or the time of the dinosaurs. Paleontologists identify strange new species of Elasmosaur, a long-necked plesiosaur marine reptile. Trascasaura sandri. Trascasaura sandri, a 12-meter long elasmosaur. Whoa, we're pushing 40 feet. That's a decent sized elasmosaur. It's good to hear. Type of plesiosaur that lived in the Cretaceous seas 85 million years ago. So just about 17 to 18 million years before the dinosaurs would go extinct, as well as the marine reptiles in the ocean. Had a strange mix of primitive and derived traits. Unlike any other elasmosaur, its unique suite of adaptations enabled this marine reptile to hunt prey from above. I would assume with different species of plesiosaur in general, even other marine reptiles throughout the Jurassic and Cretaceous periods, they would have had this ability. And it seems to be here with these models that they're just going after different species of ammonites, which would be a common prey source for not just the plesiosaurs, but even the mosasaurs that they coexisted with, the other larger, short necked, more robust marine reptiles.
Are they zebra ancestors?
Yeah, this has been a bit of a I guess a unique coloration that was somewhat started, at least I think that's when it started back in the 1999 series, Walking with Dinosaurs, with the Laupleurodon and its skin texture. I think the ichthyosaurs as well. So it's been added to a wide variety of marine reptiles. I think it looks good. But yeah, here, a little too, um, I guess, zebra like. I would think this would also have a bit of a negative impact on it when it came to sneaking up on its prey. If you're lower in the ocean, you want it where your back has it where it's more just a darker coloration. And if you're coming from above, it's going to be a lighter coloration. Yeah, it seems to be on the bottom here. Maybe it is with the other rings. If it isn't, I would think that would slightly give it a bit of a negative impact when hunting, but possibly not. So I guess from above, it seems to be for the most part okay. There's a slight tail fluke. Quite a robust neck too for a plesiosaur. They had such small heads, so they didn't technically need a very robust neck structure. The first Trascasaura fossil was discovered in 1988 from late Cretaceous rocks of the Haslam Formation in Vancouver Island, Canada. Vancouver Island hosts a wide variety of different marine reptile specimens, as well as even different species of the cephalopod ammonites that are more closely related to squid. There have also, I think, have been certain species of pliosaur, the short-necked, robust marine reptiles distant from the mosasaurs, that have been discovered on Vancouver as well. Well, Vancouver Islands, not the same thing as Vancouver. Since then, additional fossils have been recovered from the formation, an isolated right humerus, and I believe a right thigh bone, well, thigh for the flipper, and a well-preserved juvenile skeleton comprising thorax, girdles, and limbs. Well, that's really good to hear for Trascasaura. I mean, Elasmosaur in general. The juveniles are not common specimens to be discovered. First described in 2002, the fossils recently became famous, having been adopted by the province of British Columbia and declared as the official fossil emblem of British Columbia. I think I've heard of that. Yeah. Um, yeah, it's great. I think you need a little more um like Mesozoic pride or Mesozoic um just symbolism maybe from the land. But the problem is, I mean, in terms of dinosaurs, British Columbia does not have a lot of geological units that bring up dinosaurs. When dinosaurs pop up, they tend to be in fragmentary remains. So they would have to be taking in some um, symbolism from like places such as Alberta. But we have a lot of dinosaurs that come in, especially from Cretaceous layers in Alberta. But it's good to see that we have a lot of marine deposits in British Columbia as well. Plesiosaur fossils have been known for decades in British Columbia, said Marshall University's Professor F. Robin O'Keefe, lead author of the study. However, the identity of the animal that left the fossils has remained a mystery, even as it were declared British Columbia's provincial fossil in 2023. Oh, I thought it was much earlier. Our new research published today finally solves this mystery. The scientific confusion concerning this taxon is understandable. It has a very odd mix of primitive and derived traits. The shoulder, in particular, is unlike any other plesiosaur I've ever seen, and I have seen a few. With the naming of Trascasaura sandri, the Pacific Northwest, basically where Oregon, Washington State, technically Idaho is included as well, and British Columbia stand. Finally has Mesozoic reptile to call its own. Fittingly, a region known for its rich marine life today was host to strange and wonderful marine reptiles in the age of dinosaurs. In the initial 2002 description of the fossils, experts were reluctant to erect a new genus based solely on the adult skeleton of the Elasmosaur discovered. relatively few characters were unambiguous on this particular skeleton. Now let's bring up another creature. The I guess a short-necked, robust pliosaur from Australia, Kronosaurus. So Kronosaurus.
I'm gonna start with your favorite thing.
Oh, this AI picture, yeah. No species of plesiosaurs that we have not played. Well, technically they belong to a large lineage of marine reptiles known as like the plesiosauromorphs, but it's not a true plesiosaur. Anyway, only the ichthyosaurs really had a tail with that type of a look, and there were also some other issues about the animal. This would work for maybe a primitive species of pliosaur or definitely a closer relative of the mosasaurs, like the Dolichorhynchops, in terms of just how delicate this animal has in terms of like the structure. Though he seems to have a very robust neck, but his skull not so much. This is a very fat Kronosaurus. At least I wouldn't really call that muscle. He really just looks pudgy. Anyway, Kronosaurus is from the early Cretaceous. Okay, this guy's got problems. And I don't think he's even AI. I think it's just one of those goofy models. I mean, depending on how old it is, because you could say it's not terrible, but when it comes to accuracy, it's very far off. This is a more standard Kronosaurus sort of depiction, but this Plesiosaur has several issues. It's like the person didn't even care. They just, unless it was just an earlier model that they were working on, but they just wanted a some prey item. Anyway, Kronosaurus is from the ocean or seas of Queensland, Australia, so the northeastern part of the country, around 100 and I think 20 million years ago, back in the early Cretaceous period. And this animal was likely feeding on different species of plesiosaurs in the area, and likely like fed on certain species such as, gosh, what was that? Aerosaurus? It's not hitting me the specific species, but there was a plesiosaur that has been discovered in Queensland that reached somewhere around 23 feet in length or pushing 7 meters and probably weighed somewhere between 1.5 to 2 tons. Likely was Kronosaurus food. Kronosaurus, however, could reach well over 43 feet in length, or pushing around 13 meters, and probably weighed somewhere around 8 to 11 tons, possibly even larger. So, likely one of the largest species of pliosaurs to exist at this point in the Cretaceous. Probably existing around 110 to 120 million years ago. I mean, it's not bad. I think his skull might be a bit thin, like it doesn't seem to have enough diameter. The rest of him, I mean, yeah, his tail looks okay.
What tail?
His tail fluke.
I
His
just meant
tail.
that thing is tiny.
Pliosaurus, many species didn't have very long tails. It's a big mystery as to why and what they would have been used for. Same thing for the long necked plesiosaurs. It does seem to be with different lineages of marine reptiles. They had different varieties of locomotion or how they would have swam the water.
And your favorite one?
Yeah, this guy, it's almost like he's got a bit of a shark sort of a
That was the
look to
first
him.
thing I thought. The
Yeah.
tail.
Well, not just the tail. I was going to say there's something about the skull in general. Like there's some like characteristic. These are more of like theropod dinosaur sort of teeth. There's not really the teeth that you see on different species of marine reptiles. Now, certain mosasaurs might have something similar. Um, and also the early Cretaceous pliosaurs adopted more of a tooth structure that somewhat resembled certain theropod dinosaurs or even later marine reptiles like the mosasaurs. Yeah, he's just, I think the neck, if anything, is probably the most realistic structure, but even it seems a bit short, not necessarily lacking in muscle. I like the seaweed around him, though. Like he was moving through a kelp forest. But the jellyfish, I think he's got to be careful. Okay, let's head back to the article. So, however, a new, excellently preserved partial skeleton enabled the team to shed much new light on the morphology of the Punt Ledge River Elasmosaur and eventually identify it as a new genus and species. Trascosaurus sandri had a very long neck, at least 36 well preserved cervical vertebrae or neck vertebrae. That's really good to hear. Indicate at least 50 bones in the neck and probably more. Not shocking for a plesiosaur. And whilst not huge amounts are known about Trascosaurus sandri's behavior, the fascinating long list of autopomorphic characters of the bones indicates strong capabilities for downward swimming. Interesting. That I haven't heard of before. I mean, it's very likely a wide variety of plesiosaurs could dive to some extent. But how far until pressure might have been a problem, not entirely sure. Or even just holding their breath. The combination of its unusual features relate to its hunting style, where it would use its capability for downward swimming to dive upon its prey from above. This prey was likely the abundant ammonites known from the region. Yet there are a wide range of different species of ammonites found on Vancouver Island in marine deposits. Okay, this is really good to hear. Let's head back forward in time to another part of the world. From EsquireMag.ph, the rarest deer in the world was sighted in Penny Island. It was once thought extinct until it was rediscovered in 2009. So I believe this is over in Southeast Asia. So a pair of the world's rarest species of deer, I think it's the Penyan deer or the Visayan deer. The Visayan spotted deer was sighted in Penny Island in April. Footage of the encounter was uploaded on YouTube by Inverts PH. Hmm, seems a bit blurry. Rusa alfredi. Yeah, this little guy. Fairly small. These animals don't really reach much more than 130 pounds, I believe, or pushing a little over 60 kilograms. And yes, they do form antlers.
Stop moving your camera. Do it again. It's like someone's making a Jason Bourne movie.
So I think this is over in the Philippines specifically. What was it? When it came to gosh, who okay, I think there is an animal that was alive during the ice age. I want to bring up that's closely related to this specific species. Euclideros. So Euclader giant deer. Okay. So this is a much larger species of deer that didn't exist necessarily in the Philippines, but it did exist in a wide variety of different regions of Eurasia, so different parts of Europe as well as probably northern Asia, different parts of China, Russia, Kazakhstan. And it also had some of the largest antlers compared to its body size of any species of deer. So, being the Euclideros, this is one of the um, most closely related extinct relatives of the Visayan spotted deer. Now, the Euclideros could reach somewhere around 800 to 900 pounds or pushing over 400 kilograms and was likely feeding on different species of shrubs, likely different species of flowers at the time. It might have been also a slight grazer, considering it's very possible it lived on the Mammoth Steppe during the Ice Age. So this was well over um, 300,000 years ago. And this animal, when it comes to the antlers, they really are spread out in that type of a structure, which is very rare when it comes to many species of deer. I believe each antler could reach over 5.5 feet in length, or pushing somewhere around 1.6, 1.7 meters.
That thing is huge.
Yeah, so they were likely coexisting with like different populations of cave lions, different populations of even woolly mammoths in certain areas. That's interesting. They made the females in this instance look like um, waterbuck from Africa, and waterbuck are antelope. They're not deer. Like this species, the Euclaridopus, is a member of Cervidae, more specifically Cervini, but waterbuck are not. So that's interesting. I mean, I understand they're just trying to give more of a herd sort of a dynamic in the painting. I think it's good looking painting. It's just unfortunate they had to turn the females into antelope. They're a bit more distantly related to red deer. Um, I believe that's a red deer. He's definitely been feeding on some supplemental feed. Those
It
antlers are
came up
huge.
as the
Oh, maybe his specific antler structure, which this can happen also on Rocky Mountain elk individuals if they're being supplemented with certain feed, different white-tailed deer individuals, probably even maybe roe deer to an extent. This is Megaloceros, which is an even more distant relative. It did
not my fault. They're labeling it the other.
Yeah, that's annoying. Um, was there something else? Oh, likely even existing with more southern population of cave hyenas as well, which could weigh well over 400 pounds or pushing over 180 kilograms. It's also closely related, not necessarily Megaloceros in this instance. It's more closely related to, when referring to the Megaloceros, fallow deer, which are native to different parts of Turkey, the Middle East. But the Euclaperos is more closely related to sambar deer, which are a favorite prey source for tigers over in different parts of India, as well as different parts of Southeast Asia, even into China. But when it came to the Euclaridos, maybe in southern populations, tigers might have hunted them as well. But definitely cave lions too. Cave lions had a very large distribution back in the Ice Age, even heading over into Alaska and the Yukon. Doesn't look like Euclaridos ever touched North America. It was subjected to different parts of Europe as well as Asia. So, for the safety of the deer, Invert's PH did not disclose the exact location where the pair of Visayan spotted deer were sighted. The encounter and footage is considered exceedingly rare because the Visayan spotted deer is a nocturnal creature. It's not often seen in the wild, especially during the day.
Oh, so they're claiming it was seen, but they're not saying where it was seen.
Um, yeah, it's a bit odd. Maybe it's not adjacent to any national park. It just happened to be in some area of the Philippines.
My only guess was it was for its own protection.
Yeah, that's what I was guessing. Maybe to stop or prevent poaching. So the Visayan spotted deer, aka Prince Alfred's deer, was once presumed extinct on all 7 islands until evidence of its existence, such as footprints and animal droppings, were documented in 2009 by a team of Filipino, British, and Irish biologists who mounted an expedition on Negros Island to search for the creature. Oh yeah, there he is. It's almost like a roe deer to an extent when it comes to the antler structure. It's still a good looking animal.
I was thinking I recognized that.
It is quite interesting. It has almost like more certain
Wait, is it a? What's the other animal that looks like that? That's not an actual deer.
oh, I was gonna say the cheetah deer over in India kind of resembles it to an extent. But
But
cheetah deer are a bit more slender in appearance. This guy has a very thick neck.
no, the
Maybe
little one.
musk deer?
But it's not a deer.
Yeah, the musk deer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but musk deer are not true deer. Let's see. Yeah, he's got a very stocky build. He's over it's at the Edinburgh Zoo in Scotland.
Well, then how would they be extinct?
They thought in the wild. There's such thing as extinct in the wild, and then there's extinct. And then there's before extinct in the wild, critically endangered, and then endangered. After publishing their rediscovery, the Philippine Daily Inquirer ran a headline on in May 2009, which reads, "The world's rarest deer still roam Negros." But it was only in 2012 when scientists were able to get a visual confirmation of the Visayan spotted deer after the Negros Interior Biodiversity Expedition set up cameras in the jungle and captured photos of the super rare species of the dark deer. It was the first time the Visayan spotted deer was photographed in the wild. So the Visayan spotted deer is sometimes called Prince Alfred's deer because it was Prince Alfred, sovereign Duke of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha from 1893 to 1900, who sent the first known specimen of the Visayan spotted deer to renowned English and the typo zoologist Philip Lutley Sclater. I'm not familiar with this zoologist, but there's many. Sclater later described the species in his book, but actually labeled it Cervus alfredi. Much respect. Although the Visayan deer had been known since the 1800s, it was not recognized as a separate species until 1983. Hmm. Um. Okay, so UP biology graduate and UERM medical student Juan Miguel Santos created a wildlife map of the Philippines featuring the three deer species and their habitat distribution. Okay, yeah, these are fun. Well, I mean, they're good to have too. Yeah, so specifically a Philippine brown deer. It's interesting. It has the largest supposed range of the three different species of deer in the Philippines. And supposedly the Visayan spotted deer covers these different areas, but they are extremely rare to see. And then the Columbian deer is over here. These island deer, they're very unique, stocky individuals. Oh, that's it. Okay, oh. All right, so thanks for joining. And for Prehistoric to Present, my name is Ethan. This is Creature Guy Live Daily News. We are streaming on both Rumble, YouTube, and Kick. And remember, that nothing is better than all animals all the time.